hosting a meetup game at a new spot for the vlog, Playground Poker. The 2.5 is an $800 cap, but keep in mind that's Canadian dollars, not USD. A good rule of thumb: for every $100 you see me bet, the US equivalent is around 75. I get sat down at the first table and immediately look down at 7 deuce. We're not playing the game, but it is my meetup game, so I decide to get into the mix. We end up calling a flop bet, but then fold on the turn, show the table that's what we came to do, felt them with the 7 deuce, and now we're on to the first real hand of the night. We look down at pocket 10s from the hijack. The straddle's on and I raise it up to $35, pretty standard so far until Lucky, who you guys will definitely know by the end of this video and the next. He's in the big blind and blind shoves. Yes, you heard that right. Lucky blind shoves, and obviously I'm going nowhere with my pocket 10s, and I put in the call. The flop comes 10-9-4, bang, we flop top set. I immediately turn over my other card. I don't want to slow roll Lucky at this meetup game. The turn comes a king of clubs followed by the 8 of hearts. No good for him when he turns over 7 deuce of hearts, and my set is going to take that one down. Alright, this dude earned it. What's your name, Lucky?
Lucky.
Lucky.
Nice to meet you, bro.
I gotta put it on you, man. I gotta do the damage right there.
Alright.
If you beat me, you can put it back on me, though.
I will.
Okay.
Alright.
Alright, next hand we're going to battle with is ace-jack offsuit from the +2 position. I raise it up to $25, and Lucky in the cutoff and the small blind both put in the call. That means we are going 3 ways to a flop. The flop comes ace-queen 3 with 2 hearts, and given the fact I'm in between 2 opponents, when the small blind checks it over to me, I start with a check and Lucky decides to check behind, bringing in the 9 of diamonds on the turn. When the turn checks to me for a second time, I'm going to go for a bet of $40, and Lucky puts in the call, bringing in another ace, the ace of diamonds, bang! We river 3 of a kind, and now I want to trap Lucky. I decide to start with a check. Lucky falls into the trap and bets out for $75, to which I go for the check raise up to $200. Now, to be fair here, there are busted straight draws and busted flush draws, so when he bets and I go for a raise, I'm not only going to have a strong ace or a boat here, I'm also going to have some bluffs, but in this spot, I do in fact have value. He finds a fold, so pretty good fold from him, and we're going to take down another pot here on the night. Alright, ace-jack worked out pretty swimmingly in the last hand. Let's pick it up again here, the diamond variety, and I raise it up to $30. Lucky now raises it up to $75, blind I should say, on the button. You guys are getting the picture here. A lot of blind raising from Lucky, and the big blind puts in the call, and the action's back over to me. Now, I think I make a mistake here. It's not a huge one, but I do in fact just put in the call. I think it's a mistake because when Lucky blind raises and there's a call, a lot of dead money out there. I should just make it 250 to 300, probably take down the dead money and proceed to the next hand. Instead, when I put in the call, we are going 3 ways to a flop, which comes king and jack 5 with 2 clubs. Obviously, the action checks over to the button, and Lucky bets out for $75, to which we both put in the call. We're both non-believers, and why would we be when the 4 of spades comes in on the turn, and the action checks through? Now, we see a pretty interesting card on the river. It completes the backdoor flush draw, but gives me 3 of a kind. Comes the jack of spades. And now the big blind decides to pick up the betting lead, and bets out 2/3 the size of the pot for $300. Weird spot for me to be in because I'm in between him and Lucky. Lucky's capable of doing just about anything. He could rip his stack in if I just call. I don't want to raise though because I don't have the nuts on the board. Pocket 5s, pocket 4s, pocket kings, king jack, and any flush draw has me beat. So instead, I just put in the call, praying that Lucky doesn't back raise behind me. He doesn't decide to do that though, but we still get the bad news when the big blind turns over the nut flush. So yeah, he hits the gin card on the river. It looks like I was going to be taking down that pot with my pair of jacks, but that's not how it goes. $1,052 going his way, and that one stings a little bit, not gonna lie. Alright, moving right along, pocket kings, maybe they can do some justice for me. We're on the button, and Lucky in the +1 opens it up to 20. Middle position calls, and I make it $80. I probably, in this game, could be sizing up to like 100 to 120. Oh well, though, $80 should get the job done. No, it doesn't. Both players put in the call. Still, we're going 3 ways to a flop in position, so you gotta like our chances here, and let's see what the flop brings in. Pause. Before the flop comes out, Lucky decides to blind lead for $200. So yeah, that's pretty interesting there. I definitely like that play from him. And the flop comes paired though, queen, queen, jack, rainbow. The The middle position gets out of the way and I decide to just put in the call. I don't want to raise here and scare Lucky out of the hand. A raise here would signify a lot of strength from me, so I want to keep him on the line, let him bet the turn on the river, and if he has me, he has me. But I decided just to put in the call, bringing out the turn card, which comes a 3 of clubs. He now bets out for $300 after checking his whole cards. So make of that what you will. He could have a queen, he could have a jack, he could have a bluff like king 10 or maybe 10-9. He could have picked up a backdoor club draw. So I'm not going anywhere. If he has me beat, I'm going to give him all my money with kings on this type of board and against his fun player profile. But if he has a bluff, I want to get the money in now because I don't want him to check on the river and just fold. So I decided to put it all in for around $700. And he puts in the call, which isn't great news. But I expect him to still call with a lot of his draws as well. He does not have a draw this time though. He has queen 5 of diamonds. The river is no help for me. And he's going to take down that $2,000 pot. And what's worse, I'm getting the bang sticker back. Oh no.
Here we go. Nice to meet you. You too.
Happy to give Lucky some action there, and we're going to rebuy for $800 more. In the first hand, I look down at pocket nines, the straddle's on, and I raise it up to $30. What happens next? Go figure. Lucky raises it blind to $150, and the under the gun straddle puts in the call. Now I learned my lesson. When Lucky raises blind and someone calls, I just got to get my stack in when I have a decent hand. I should be so far ahead of both of the opponent's ranges, so I decide to shove all in here for 800 Canadian dollars with my pocket nines, and to my dismay, both players put in the call. Let's run it out, dealer. As you can see, Lucky has Jack 6 off, so he's given some action back. Good for him, man. And the under the gun straddle has 7-6 off. So I have a commanding 63% chance to win this board. $1,900, that'd be pretty sweet. I don't want to reach into my pocket again. I'm still good on the flop. I'm up to 70% until the turn card brings me down to 15 and then to 0 by the river. Lucky is going to take down another pot. I'm seeing why all the Canadians here call him that. But what a great guy. $1,900 is going his way. Jack 6 off. He must have been watching some Hustler Casino Live and doing his best Robbie impersonation. Alright, $800 more come out of my pocket and right onto the table. I look down now at the ladies. Maybe they can help me. Whenever I'm in dismay, the ladies come to my rescue. I'm in the big blind, the straddle's on, and middle position opens it up to $30. Of course, I'm going to 3-bet, and I decide on a sizing of 110, to which the middle position puts in the call, leading us off to a flop. Now, I'm out of position, but the flop comes 9-4-3. I'm going to have some 9s, but he can have a lot more 4s and 3s, so I wouldn't mind a check here some of the time, but I'm stuck. I want to get more money in the middle, and I decide to bid out for $85, and the opponent decides to put in the call, bringing us off to a turn, which comes the deuce of hearts, bringing in that front door flush draw. I think now you could definitely be mixing in some checks, but like I said, I want to get that money back from all those flips with Lucky, and I bid out for $185. The opponent just puts in the call once again, so it's possible he has a hand like ace-9 off with the ace of hearts. He could also have a hand like 9-10, 9-8, 9-7, and yes, of course, he could have 4s, 3s, and maybe that front door flush draw that gets in on the turn. When the river card comes, one of the worst cards in the deck, it's an overcard that's a heart. I look down at my cards, I don't have a heart, and that's going to make me check it over to the opponent. I finally slow down, and to my surprise, he checks behind. Is it possible that we're good here with our pair of queens with no heart? Absolutely not. Why would we be good here in this game? We're getting absolutely torched. The opponent turns over 6-5 of diamonds, so I see why he checked back on the river. But still, he gets rewarded with 752 Canadian dollars, and yeah, we're going to lose another one. Alright, moving right along, pocket nines once again. I'm in the cutoff, and middle position opens it up to $35. There's 2 callers to me, and I decide not to bloat the size of the pot up. I just put in the call, which brings in the big blind, and that means we are off extremely multi-way to a flop, which gives me an overpair. It comes 7-6-6 with 2 clubs. When the action checks over to me, I decide to bet out for $100. I have an overpair, there's some draws out there, and anyone with a 7 just can't fold right away, so I bet out for $100, and the middle position puts in the call. When the turn now gives me a boat, it comes a 6 of diamonds. It's actually a pretty great card. Any 7 will definitely not fold, and now we're not scared of any of the straight draws or flush draws. When the middle position checks it over to me for a second time, I think I make a mistake here and check behind. Definitely need to be going for value against any of those 7s, 8s, 5s. Obviously a 6 would have me beat, but I can't be scared of monsters in the closet. But yeah, I do in fact decide to check behind. And even though that's a mistake, the river comes the 9 of diamonds. Bang! We river a boat. We had a boat on the turn, so it's a better boat by the river, but that is absolutely great news. Now we're beating hands like 10s, jacks, queens, if the middle position player can have that, and he decides to lead out into me for $100. Obviously, I'm not just calling for $100. I want to put more money in the middle, and I take a stack of green, announcing all in. He doesn't think about it for too long before verbally saying call. That's great news for me. I turn over my cards. He shows pocket 10s, so what a cooler there. Had me beat pre-flop, flop, and turn only for me to get there on the river. But that's just the way the night goes. I'm giving money, I'm getting money, $1,400 coming my way, and it feels pretty great.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers, brother.
After taking another shot with our buddy Sebastian, I look down at 7, 8 of clubs from the big blind. I have $1,400 in my stack, plus one raises it up to $15, and there's 3 callers over to me. Sure, I could be coming in for a raise to the tune of around $100, but instead I just put in the call, leading us off to a flop, which comes queen 6-5 with 2 clubs. Spicy board. I just have 8 high, but I have the flush draw and straight draw. One could call it a straight flush draw. And the plus one bets out for $35. The hijack puts in the call, and I decide now to go for a check raise. I only have 8 high, but I have a lot of possibilities on the turn and river. And even if they have a queen and they call me on the flop, I can put so much pressure on the turn and the river that I'm going to get extra value and get them to fold. So that's what I decide to do. I start telling the story now that I have 6s or 5s, and I raise it up to $105. When the initial bettor gets out of the way, it usually means the hijack's going to fold. He does as well, and just like that, we're taking down that $252 pot.
Cheers. Cheers. Oh, that one didn't go down too smooth. That was a bad one.
Alright, next hand is a beautiful one. We look down at King Jack of Spades. $20 straddle is out there. Who put it out there? Me. I put it out there. Let's go. There's 3 callers and the action's back over to me. You think I'm going to check this behind and let them live? Absolutely not. We're stuck in the game. I want to get more money out there. I raise it up to $105. A middle position puts in the call and the small blind does as well. That means we are going 3 ways to a flop in between 2 opponents, which comes queen of spades, 6 of clubs, 8 of clubs. Not much going on for me, so when the action checks to me, I decide to start with a check. When the player in position checks behind, we are off to the turn, which comes a 10 of diamonds. So although there are 2 clubs out there, we now turn ourselves the open-ended straight draw. And when the small blind checks it over to me for a second time, I gotta go for a bet. If you guys know my strategy, when I'm in between 2 opponents, I like to check the flop with my entire range. So just because I slow down on the flop and then I bet the turn, doesn't mean I only have king high here. I could also have pocket queens, ace queen, pocket kings, jacks, 10s, a lot of great hands. So yeah, you get the picture, and I decide now to bet out for $150. If I take it down here, that's great, but if I get called in any spots, there's a lot of river cards that can help me out, and that's what we're going to need when the middle position puts in the call, bringing us off to the river, which comes the 9 of diamonds. Bang, we river the straight. I look at the board, look at my hand, I have the nuts. When you have the nuts, you want to polarize, and I decide to bet out for $700. Now the middle position goes into the tank for a while. He's thinking about his options. Well, at this point, I'm really only thinking he's going to call or fold. Obviously hoping he puts in the call. I have the best hand, I can't lose. But he surprises me when he goes all in for $1,094. That's a snap call from me, and he turns over a straight. It's a worse straight though, so we're gonna scoop that pot. A $2,900 pot is coming my way. And finally, some good things happening for me here at Playground Poker. Let's go! Another shot consumed, another great hand coming my way. We're on the button with $2,900. I look down at the Cowboys, and the hijack opens it up to $20. Sebastian in the cutoff puts in the call, and I decide to raise it up to $60. Obviously, the shots are getting to me. That's not a great raise. I should at least go for 80, maybe 100 or 120. So yeah, that's going to bring in a bunch of players. We are going 4 ways to the flop with a pretty great hand, which comes 5, 4, 3 rainbow. When the action checks over to me, even though we are 4 ways, I'm going to go for a bet and protect my hand against any top pair. Maybe some straight draws like ace 10 that have a gutter. I need to get some value here, and I bet out for 85 bucks. And the big blind and Sebastian both put in the call, so we are off to the turn, which pairs the board. It comes the 4 of diamonds. Actually a pretty great card because now I'm beating hands like 5-3 because I have 2 pair, kings and 4s. So when the action checks over to me for a second time, I'm going to get value from all of those type of hands as well as all the overpairs like 6s through queens. And I decide on a sizing of $300. Additionally, the 4 of diamonds means there is a backdoor flush draw. So yeah, I really like my sizing here of $300. And Sebastian puts in the call. So yeah, he didn't come out here not to make the vlog. Putting $300 in on the turn usually means you are going to make it. And if you're watching this hand right now, Sebastian, I know what you had. Don't put in the call. Just fold it. Just put me on kings. Save your money. Oh boy, he puts in the call. And the way I'm talking, you know what's going to happen. Something bad, and the river comes the 7 of diamonds. Now, why did I say something bad? Oh, because Sebastian goes for the old stop and go play and jams all in for $500. Now, this definitely smells like value. He could easily have pocket 5s, pocket 3s. He could have 6, 7. He could have pocket 7s, my favorite hand. So yeah, I'm going to make a pretty disciplined fold here with my kings. And look at that. He did in fact have my hand, pocket 7s. Got there on the river with the boat. And yeah, Sebastian, that's definitely a bang type of hand. $1,600 coming your way. And it was a pleasure meeting you on this night. Alright, the only way to get unstuck in this session is to move over to the 5-10 table. That's what I decided to do when I looked down at ace 9 of diamonds. Middle position raises it up to $40. I decide not to 3-bet here. I want to get into a flush over flush situation, and I put in the call, bringing in the small blind and a limper. We are going 4 ways to the flop. Flop is pretty good for us. It gives us top pair and that front door flush draw, ace-6-4 with 2 diamonds. Middle position bets out for $75. I put in the call, and that brings in another red card, but it's not a diamond. It comes the king of hearts. On the turn, the opponent now bets out for $175. At this point, I kind of feel like my ace-9 might not be good, and I need to hit a diamond on the river. Still, with so much equity, I can't be folding, so I put in the call, leading us off to the river, which comes the 10 of hearts. Yet again, another red card, but it's not the one we wanted to see. And with $670 in the middle, the opponent bets out for $425. Now I do have an ace, but what bluffs am I really beating here? Maybe he could have a hand like busted diamonds, although it's ambitious to go bet, bet, bet. But I'm calling a pretty big bet on the turn. Very ambitious, and he only bet 2/3 the size on the river. So I give him credit for a good hand, and I decide to muck mine. So he's just going to win that one, and we'll never see what he had. Alright, our stack is bleeding down to around the $2,000 mark, but no fear, we look down at pocket aces from the +2 position, and I raise it up to $30. The cutoff puts in the call, and Tariq on the button raises it up to $125. The action folds back around to me. I'm going to come in for a 4-bet. Obviously, I have pocket aces. I don't want the cutoff to come in as well and go 3 ways. And additionally, I'm going to be out of position against Tariq, so I like a 3x sizing here of $350. Tariq doesn't think about it too long before putting in the call. He's going to be positioned after all the rest of the way. We are off to a flop which comes monotone clubs, 8-7-4. Now usually on monotone boards I start with a check, but because I have the ace of clubs in my hand, I'm not really scared of too much. So I decide just to fire out here for around 1/3 the size of the pot for $200. Now Tariq does something weird here and decides to raise me up to $450. It's just above a min click. Obviously that would have been $400, but I'm not exactly sure why he's doing this. It could be because he's trying to raise me on the flop and then check behind on the turn and get to a cheap river. Or it could be that he has a hand that has 2 clubs in it, or maybe a set, like 8, 7s, and 4s would all play this way, raising it pre and then calling my 4-bet. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to put in any more money. I decide instead just to put in the call. Now in hindsight, I think I also could just be jamming this flop. I have an overpair and I have the club in my hand, so in case he does have a flush or a set already, I do have a lot of outs on the turn and river that can help me, but in this moment, I decide just to put in the call, which brings in another scary card, the 5 of hearts. Now completes hands like 8-6, 7-6, 4-6. But then again, I don't know if they're min-raising me on the flop, so I don't really know if the 5 of hearts is the scariest card in the deck. Still, when I get min-raised on the flop, I'm not going to lead out into the opponent, and I check it over to Tariq. Tariq does in fact check behind. So it looks like he was min raising me on the flop to get to a cheap river, and the river card now comes the king of diamonds. I go into the tank here for around 30 seconds. I'm debating whether I should go for a half pot size bet of like $800 and get value, or if I should check in case he's trapping me on the turn and just call a bet on the river. Instead of betting, I elect to start with a check, and I tell myself I'm calling a bet from Tariq. All that goes out the window though when Tariq decides to jam for $1,250. Oh man, that's a tough spot. You check back the turn though. Does he really have a flush or a set if he does that? I think sets would continue betting on the turn, but I think a lot of his flushes might be incentivized to check back the turn to put me in a weird spot, see no club on the river, and then rip it all in. My hand kind of looks like the way it is, pocket aces, pocket queens, pocket jacks with a club in it. Puts me in such a tough spot that I end up folding my pocket aces face up. It felt like a coin flip for me. I just didn't want to flip for $1,250, but he's going to show us the bad news. I table my hand and he turns over king queen offsuit. So yeah, he thought he was good there on the river. I should have just snap called him. And I make a huge mistake. I would have taken down a 4K pot and that would have put me into Profitsville, but sometimes after playing for 5, 6, 7 hours with taking shots along the way, you just end up leveling yourself into thinking that the opponent's good. That flop min raise got me there, Tariq. Congrats. Don't spend all my money in one place. If anything can cheer me up, it's my favorite hand. I looked down for the last hand of the night at pocket sevens from the button, and I decided to raise it up to $40 over a $10 limper. The flop comes 10-10-9 with 2 hearts, and the opponent checks it over to me. I decided to go for a standard c-bet of $35, and he puts in the call, bringing in the best card in the deck on the turn, the 7 of hearts. Bang, we turn the boat. I say the best card because it also brings in that front door flush draw. So anyone with ace 5 of hearts, king queen of hearts, stuff like that all got there on the turn. I'm going to try to get piles in by the river. When the opponent checks it over to me for a second time, I decided to go for a bet of $65, which in hindsight I think is way too small. I need to size up to like 120 to 150. I could even be putting in some overbets here, and the reason why is because all of his 10s aren't going to fold here for any sizing on the turn, and any of his flushes are definitely not folding for any sizing, so I think $65 is just a waste of a bet. I need to go 150 or more. The opponent puts in the call because why would he fold? He has one of those 2 good hands, and the river card now comes the ace of diamonds. Really shouldn't change too much unless the opponent has ace 10, because now he has a better boat by the river, and he leads out now for $95. But I was scared in that last hand. I'm not going to play scared in this one. I'm not just going to flat call the $95. Instead, I look to get more value and make it $300. I probably could even size up to $400 to $500, but I'm happy I at least put in the raise. The opponent puts in the call, so he did in fact have a flush or a 3 of a kind, and we're going to end the session on a good note, at least 900 Canadian dollars coming my way. With the end of the session over, we rack up our chips and head over to the cage.
Alright you guys, it's almost 2 in the morning. That wraps up that 2-5 meetup here at Playground Poker. Got out for 1381, so net loss of 1419. The only caveat is it's Canadian money, so it's a little bit less. The sting hurts a little bit less, but could have played better in that aces hand. I just didn't think that Tariq was bluffing there. A few other spots that maybe could have gone a little bit differently, but shout out to Andrew, shout out to Ryan, Martin, all the dealers, all the super cool floor staff here. And if you guys liked it here at Montreal, Playground Montreal, definitely come out, tell them Wolf sent you. Maybe they'll do something nice to you. You got free food, free drinks. It's all a part of your rig here. The next vlog that you guys see will be also from here. It's going to be 2-5. I'm going to play some 2-5, maybe some 5-10 as well. If you guys like this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a comment down below. Good luck on the felt, you guys. If you're from Canada, let me know down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.